And I'm back. Ugh. Hey everybody, sorry about the internet issue. Hey, love dogs. So let me just tell you what's happening. I live in the Caribbean on this tiny island, and I use a VPN. And evidently, when it bounces to different places and the internet is full, I lose my internet. So if this drops again, I just want to let everybody know I'm live on Sundays when it never drops. So Sundays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm just trying to get on now just so I can reach different people who haven't really seen me yet. But again, if my internet drops, it's just because I just have a terrible internet connection right now. So when it kind of gets crowded, I get bumped off. So I'm super sorry, but make sure that you like this video and then you subscribe. I love dogs. It actually is, I don't want to, again, like I'm not complaining. I'm not ever complaining. I was telling my husband this morning that I'm really cold. I don't know why I'm cold. And he was like, well, we climatized. But no, it's like 71 and I'm freezing. But yeah, so that's what's happening. I'm really sorry if my internet drops. I'm going to try to find a way to fix it by next week. But right now, it is what it is. So if it drops, I probably won't be getting back on today. But let's just use the time that we have right now. I don't even remember what I was talking about because I got mad at YouTube. Let me think. Where was I? On the other live. I was on Instagram earlier, and like they let me go on for like an hour, and I had to get on a second one because there was timing it. But YouTube always bumps me off during the week. But let's try again. Yeah, I love dogs. I don't know if I told the story, if you heard the story, but yeah, we moved here a few months ago during the pandemic, which is crazy, right? But it's because I had just given into my guides and my soul's will and said I'm not going to refuse anything positive that comes to me. And 3 hours later, my husband was like, "What do you think about moving to the Caribbean?" And I thought, well played, universe, because I couldn't say no. So yeah, what are we, like 8 months here, 6 months here, and here I am. But here's the thing: I would never have done this channel. I never would have set anything up if I was still living where I was before, because and thanks Bob for helping, by the way. I would never have done this channel before because I was very in suburbia, and I thought, how I don't know, you kind of. Yeah, I don't know. It's I've lived in different countries in the world because I was an international teacher, and I've always said, like, I always wanted my kids to grow up in one house. So I was very resistant to the idea of moving again because I got tired of moving my kids around, but it just felt right. And that's what I keep trying to tell everybody else, that we need to, go with our gut feeling and not question so much, because if it's a good thing and it works, then just go with it. And I think I was doing that too much. I was trying to control too much in my life. And when things weren't working out the way I wanted them to work out, I'd get upset, and that would throw off my law of attraction, my law of vibration. That would throw everything off. And when I realized when I would just flow with things, better things than I ever could imagine happened, like this. So this Wi-Fi issue is a little frustrating, but it's definitely not a deal breaker. Hey, Gaggy again. Gaggy, I was just explaining to everybody that I live in this tiny island, and my Wi-Fi drops because I have to use a VPN. And when things get too crowded in the internet world, I get bumped. I'm like the first one who gets bumped off. So if I drop again, that's what's going on here. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel. Make sure you know when I'm going live. I am starting a new video that's going to be published either tomorrow or on Saturday, that is about the difference between depression and the dark night of the soul. And depression is definitely more common. And the way that the basic reason, if you have depression or dark night of the soul, is that depression is really painful. Depression is like crippling painful. Whereas the dark night of the soul, you don't even feel anything. It's not even apathy. Like when people say, did I feel apathetic? No, I didn't feel anything. Like there was nothing. I felt very empty. And I'm going to explain that more in my new video. I'm also going to give a shout out to Laura from Soulful Taz on YouTube. That's Soulful Taz. Go over to her channel. She's super awesome, and she has all kinds of videos that are about spirituality and making it through like recovery of abuse and spiritual awakening. And she's very, very honest about what she has to present about her soul awakening process. Again, it's Soulful T-O-Z, Soulful Taz. And I'm going to include, she's given me permission to include a lot of her clips into my video to kind of give you a background from somebody other than me, telling you what this is like to go through the dark night of the soul. So does anybody have any questions for me? I can use my tarot. I can use my psychic skills. I can use my skills of gossip if you want to talk about celebrities or anything going on about that. Let me know. I'm just here to let you know that I'm here. And if you are looking for one of the best psychic mediums on YouTube, that's me. And make sure you subscribe on my channel and make the bell ring so you know when I go live. I was wondering if I have a relationship coming in. What I feel, I love dogs. My first reaction is you have a lot of recovery coming on. I'm feeling a lot of still emotional pain from what you were going through, and they're warning you not to jump into a relationship real quick because you don't want to use a new relationship. I will get to when that's going to happen in 1 second. What they want me to tell you is that you don't want to jump into a relationship in order to kind of ease the pain that you're feeling. What you want to do is learn how to kind of heal yourself and ease your pain on your own. And that means going within. That doesn't mean like, I mean, you can still go to therapy and all that, but that means going within and kind of finding the reason everything happened. And then when you do that, you're going to be able to attract that person to have a family with. 2026. That's what they just showed me, 2026. And that doesn't mean you're not going to meet this person before then, but I think 2026 is where it's going to like take off. I think you're going to have a good 2 years like to work on yourself. And honestly, I think that is a gift. I think it's a gift to work on yourself. And really, they're telling me you do a lot of journaling. Do you write? Do you journal? They're telling me either you do that now or you need to be doing that to get your these emotions out that you kind of don't want to face. And when you journal, you don't even need to read it anymore. And this is what I ended up doing when I started writing my stuff down. You don't even need to go back and read it. Just get it out. Because once you get it out, it is therapeutic in a way that you don't even need to talk about it with anybody anymore, that you just got it out and it makes you feel like, oh, that's not in me anymore. I'm going to move it on. Gaggy, how does one get to know about angels being around? I know guardian angels are always around. How does one feel they're present around you? Is it just through? No. Okay, so angels are different than your spirit guides. So your spirit guides are around a lot more often than your angels are around when you're going through like a really tough time. And not to say you don't have angels that you can call on. Your spirit guides are more of like your, I hear the term ride or die a lot. Your spirit guides are more your ride or die people, where you call on them for more help. Now, how you know they're all around angels? So I have my sign with angels, honestly, like, I don't know if you saw my Instagram the other day where like I was literally just walking down my hallway and this white flat feather just fell right in front of me, like out of the ceiling. They give you specific signs. So my sign for angels is like feathers. So when I see that, but when you have a spirit around you, or you have a spirit guide, you will feel like chills, tingling. If a spirit, like, and that means somebody you loved who crossed over is feel like kind of stroking your arm or your face, you get like chills because they're coming into your energetic vibration. And they're like, spirits, like they work on heat energy. So that's why it gets cold when there's like ghosts around, because they'll suck all the heat energy out and you feel cold, but they're using that energy to like manifest stuff. So you'll feel cold, you'll get the chills in specific parts of your body. I get it all the time when my grandma comes around and like she like brushes my cheek and I get like chills on my cheek. Sometimes it's my hand. Those are the ways that you know if things are around. Angels don't, I mean, angels aren't it. Angels are And they don't like to be the focus of attention, angels. They just they're of a higher order than we are. Angels don't really incarnate, although I do have a friend who was an angel, which is interesting that she incarnated. But generally angels don't incarnate. Angels are on the other side, and they're like a higher order than we are. So we interact more with our spirit guides and our loved ones who have crossed over. um, Interest. Okay. um, I love that I'm like talking at two different places at once all the time. Somebody is, I mentioned my grandmother, then another grandmother showed up. So that's why it's not my grandmother. Somebody lost their grandmother fairly recently. And if that's you, let me know, because I can let you know if it's, we can connect. All right. So if you have any questions, or I can just keep talking about what I was going to talk about. The Dark Night of the Soul, new video. Oh, right. I have new Patreon members. So my clients who I help through things like spiritual awakenings, and if you're going through a dark time in your life or just a rough time in life, I spiritually counsel a lot of people through Patreon. And my Patreon's patreon.com/the key, or /the key. Bob always tells me it's not backslash. Okay, it's /the key. Technical people, whatever. Or if you would like to get a tarot reading once a month, I have memberships for that, or they start at $5 a month just to support my channel. I'm almost at the level where I get to tell all my spooky ghost stories, and literally I call this conversations with ghosts, because I have had conversations with spirits that are like beyond that I'm going to tell all my Patreon members. And I'm almost at the level that I have people joining that I get to tell that. So if you join right now, you're going to get to hear all my spooky ghost stories. And let me tell you, one of them involves a soldier from the battlefield of Gettysburg who followed me home. And it was not fun for a little bit until I realized who he was and why he was there. I've had more than my share of interaction with spirits. And now that I know what I can do with these gifts, I'm here to help you. So that is, my newest Patreon members are Tina, Anastasia, and Christy, and I thank you very much for joining. I have a bunch of other Patreon members that have been with me for quite a while, and supporters like Holly, who's my best friend, who's always supported me throughout my life. So, it's interesting how we feel, alone, but we're not alone. Anybody else understand that? Where like you feel completely alone, you feel isolated, and we isolate ourselves in that way. We feel like we're, just not needing to be here. We don't wanting to be here. And when you feel like that, they're specifically telling me I need to talk about this right now. So that means somebody out here watching this needs to hear this. So if you're feeling like you shouldn't be here right now, you need to take a step back and understand that your position in this world is a lot bigger than you think it is right in this moment. So there are big things. And when I mean big things, it doesn't have to be life-changing. You don't have to be like rich and famous in order to make an impact in this world. All you really have to be is kind and loving and accepting of yourself and other people. And I think a lot of people have trouble starting with that self-acceptance because, we have that image of how we're supposed to be. And, as much as I love like fashion and all of that, like we don't need to be like that. We don't need to be perfect as if they tell us. And I know that's really cliche, but understand that everybody is perfect in the form that they come in. And when we're born, we're kind of programmed into being different people than we actually are. So, and I talked about this a bit on Instagram, but I'm going to go into this a bit now, that our karmic cycle starts when we're born up until about the age of 30. So whenever we're like 25 or 26, we always, I mean, I haven't found one person where this didn't happen. When you're around 25 or 26, you face like a crisis. You face a personal error and judgment, or something blows up in your life where you're like, what the hell just happened to my life? And around that age is when we're starting to kind of tip over into the karma that we missed, the karma that we're making up for from past lives, from 0 to 30. And then from about 30 to 60 is when we are building our own karma. It should be good. We should be making an impact in our life and other people. But if we don't let that go, when we reach that crisis in about the mid 20s, we could stand to live the next 30 to 40 years in misery. So it's about that time when you're about 25 and 26, when I used to joke when you're in your 20s, you're like an idiot, which isn't always accurate, sort of. Um, but when you're 25 and 26 is when something happens. And I haven't met one person where this wasn't true, including myself, my friend Holly. Now we took the longer road where like stuff happened to us and in 25 and 26 and we think, we've talked about this where we're just kind of shell shocked for about 10 years and then we've just recently started last 2 years started to really kind of dig into it and realize why that stuff happened, why we made the choices we did, and starting to move out of it spiritually. So we're only like 10 years behind rather than 30 or 40, so that's better. But, let me know if you've had that happen to you when you're around 25 and 26 where something just really blew up your life and it really shook you, because that was planned. That was meant to happen in your life. Remember that there aren't any mistakes. We don't make mistakes. We don't plan mistakes. We aren't mistakes. The only mistakes that we have are not learning our lessons correctly. And I think, we get stuck with that a lot, that if we don't learn our lessons, we tend to blame other people. And in blaming other people, we're holding ourselves back from moving forward on our life path. So just seeing if anybody else is here. I am going to see what else my spirit guides want to talk about today. Let's see. Haha, they're talking about keeping the Wi-Fi on. That's really funny. So, all right. I'm nervous about that. I think that's probably where my attention is right now, that this is going to drop again. So if it drops, just make sure you hit that like button and make sure you hit the subscribe with the bell so you're alerted when I come back on. When I go live during the week, during the workday, I tend to get kicked off of YouTube because everything's all cloggy and I'm the first one to go. So get your question in now. Make sure you hit the like button. I'm here to answer any questions for anybody who has anything to question about their life, about the world, anything about their life path, anything that's happened to them. I'm here. I'm going to answer your questions using my tarot cards, my spirit guides, and anything that comes with us. So if you have any questions for me, make sure you put them in that chat box. Thanks, Gaggy. Yeah, I'm like super aware because last time I did this, the second time I went on live like this, they like locked me out of my account. And here I am, like, it wasn't anybody else, it was me. So I'm like super duper aware of it. Gaggy, what are you doing up so late? It's like midnight there, isn't it? Just a general reading. Yeah, okay. My first question is, you're up a lot. So that's telling me that you're like nervous energy. Okay. Oh, that's that train thing that I was working, that I saw, the switching gears. Interesting. They're telling me that you are tenacious. Tenacious, and I haven't used that word with anybody yet. Tenacious. You have a tenacity about you. Okay. And that's good. And that's exactly what I was actually, it's probably why you pop in my head so much, Gaggy, is because there's somebody else who asks me the question all the time about, when are they going to get a job? When are they going to get a job? And I think you pop in my head because I didn't even know this yet, that you started your own business, that you pop in my head a lot because I try to explain to this other person and these other people, that 2020 has been really super duper hard with employment, right? Like a lot of people are out of jobs. And what we need to be doing is, starting our own thing, like carving our own road. Because if we're waiting for the old normalcy to come back, it's not coming back. It's never coming back. Interesting. Yeah, I think you're on the right road with that a lot. And what they're telling me is all of this is, when I'm saying this, I'm pointing to all my screens here, is where you need to be pointed to. Is it like Bob, what is it called? Point of sale. What do you do, Bob? You sell things on the internet. Web development. Like my husband, like he makes websites, and that's what I'm seeing. That you're going to be selling things on. And by the way, it is really funny that I have no idea what he does, but that's what you're going to be doing, Gaggy, is that you're going to be selling this and shipping it. E-commerce. Thank you. And have you tried stores? Because what I'm seeing is like big box stores, um, like Target. Amazon would be good too, but Amazon's really hard to make money on. Um, you gotta try big box stores. What they're telling me, because they're organic soaps, aren't they? They're organic, because that's a really hot market. Like people want that, and they're really into like the handmade thing. And like honestly, I'm seeing this on store shelves, so it's not like you're going to be just selling piecemeal to like Judy, internet person. Uh huh. Etsy, very nice. Yes, Etsy's good. Holly has a Etsy site. She's a painter. Um, Etsy's good. Amazon is good for exposure. What I've found though is that Amazon's just really hard to make money with because they have all those fees. You definitely need to be looking at big box stores because what you're doing, especially in the States, they're saying especially in the States, what you're doing is creating products that don't exist yet and products that people want. There's those niche products, and what was really great though is that they're not going to require like an in-person meeting like they normally would because of right now. So that's cool. Okay, so what you need to do is also create. I love that I'm plugging YouTube all the time here. What you also need to do is create a YouTube channel to make commercials ish that explain who you are, and that will get your. Because there's a way you can actually do promotions that pop up like on YouTube. And then if you make your commercial, then that's going to get your brand out. And that's how you're going to reach the people who are going to sell it in the big box. This is all lining up really well. Yeah. Um, Etsy's great. Gaggy, were you on the Instagram live when I was talking about how, like, when you get one, when you do one social media, it's like a whole of social medias. That's what you have to do. You have to like line it all up and put it all together. Yeah. Yeah. What did I tell you the other day? I don't remember. I talked to so many people. Um, what did I tell you the other day? If you're just came on, make sure that you click the like button. And if you have any questions for me, I can answer your questions, listen to me, blah, blah, using my tarot cards or my psychic medium skills, anything about spirituality, your life, celebrities, the world. I'm here for you for as long as I can stay on and the internet gods allow me to stay on. Oh, cool. Gaggy, let me know your Instagram page and I will tag it on my Instagram, okay? Yeah. Okay. I thought that was you. You literally, honestly, it keeps popping in my head that you are definitely going to be, um, yeah, coaching. That's what I keep saying. Like, I see you on, like, 'cause what you're doing is really, really good. Oh, okay. So my kids are on YouTube all the time watching these, like, how-to science sites. That's what you need to be doing. You're going to be teaching people how to make the soap. And it's not your special formula. What you need to be doing is gearing that more towards the kids so they can like learn how they can do this, but don't give away your secret kind of a thing. But you're going to get your name out that way. Interesting. I love how all these things come together. So, let's see. It's 1:44 where I am right now. I'm going to stay on for a little bit longer to see if anybody else has any questions. Thank God the internet has stayed up. Good, cool. Gaggy, I'm so happy that you followed me, and I love dogs. I'm glad that you're here too. We're a nice little community here, aren't we? Let's see. Yesterday was Inauguration Day in the States, right? I try to stay out of all of that, but what I try to do is I do stay out of politics, but I try to keep my finger on the pulse of what's going on in like vibrational world with the world. And I do feel like things have like calmed down a bit, and I know that's taking that with a grain of salt wherever you are. Things have really stress-wise calmed down. a whole lot. I don't feel it as much anymore. That is to say, though, that we do need to, stay positive and make sure that we're listening to everybody else and their viewpoints. And I'm just not just talking about the United States, I'm talking about everywhere. That we need to be more kind and put the kindness out in the world, right? That we need to accept people and have their mistakes kind of have them make mistakes and have those mistakes teach us. Because, you're not listening to this by accident, and you've stumbled upon this video just because you need to either talk to me or hear what I'm saying in your life right now. So what I'm thinking about right now is that kindness in the world it's not lacking. It's that people are afraid to be kind to one another, because it's kind of like when you stick your head out and you're nice to people, they kind of cut you off at the knees, because that's a defense mechanism. That's what they said. They're defense mechanisms. And we need to make sure that we are, not too scared to show our kindness and love to people. And it's okay. I mean, people who lash out at us and people who, may not understand where, like, maybe we're coming from, we need to understand that that's okay, and that it's coming from their place of discomfort in the world. And we can't react to that, right? We can't react to other people's, discomfort in their own, especially right now. It's really important now that we send out love and we send out positivity in the world, right? If you're new here, make sure you ask me any questions. I'm here to answer questions. Psychic medium here. If you're looking for the best psychic on the internet, that's me. Make sure you hit like and you subscribe to my channel. I'm here for any questions you have about yourself, spiritual awakening, anyone else, celebrities, anything you have to ask me. Hey, Aqua. Hey, I'm hanging on here, Aqua. I am hanging on to make sure my Wi-Fi stays up, because I got kicked off already, but I'm pretty confident I'm going to stay on. So if anybody has any questions, go ahead and ask me. I was making this video earlier and I just kind of got really frustrated with it, because it's just tedious sometimes to make videos. So I decided it was much more fun to talk to everybody else. I was on Instagram for probably an hour and a half, and then I decided to pop over here on YouTube to see if anybody was around to talk with. So let me know if you have any questions. I'm honestly just looking to talk and distract myself from things. So tell me what's going on in your corner of the world, because we were talking on Instagram about South Africa, that I've always wanted to go to South Africa to, see the wild, maybe not South Africa itself, to see, the wild animals and zebras and giraffes and that sort of thing. I have a lot of followers in South Africa and India and the UK. So let me know if you're new. I see more people around here. Make sure you hit that like button and that you ask me any questions. I'm here. I'll answer any questions that come. My topic of the video, I'll repeat those for the new people, is about dark night of the soul versus depression. I'm also working on one that is talking about how I got to this point right now where I'm sitting talking to you, where I came through everything from a life that was pretty stressful, was pretty not fun. And how I got to right now, where I have this perspective that we just need to kind of stay more positive in our vibration. How did I get here? And, I really didn't know how I was going to tell that story before. I really didn't know, because it's been a while. I've been waiting to finish this story, and I didn't know how I was going to talk about it. But I think I do now. I think I'm on a good path talking about this story, because I don't know. Again, it's interesting how our life takes us different ways, right? So they're reminding me to tell you about Deepak Chopra, and this. He was talking a few years ago about, and there's a book now. He did not write this book, but it's called The Power of Now, and he was talking about, I want to say it was like 2020. He was talking on 2020 or something, but he was talking about how we do not have a past, because the past doesn't really exist, because we can't physically go to the past, right? So the past only exists in our mind, in our memories. And the future doesn't exist yet, because we're creating it with our actions in the now. So the only thing that really exists is right now, like right now. So in every moment of your day, every moment of your life, that's the only moment that ever exists, is now. And our goal in our life and how you make your future better is to make the now just as good as possible. So even whatever is going on right now, you need to think about, how can I make this the most positive now that I can? Like, how can you spread love right now? How can you love yourself more right now? And thinking like that and shifting your thinking like that is how you take every single step in order to make your future better. And the law of attraction is really going to base yourself off of how you're feeling now, rather than, like, the law of attraction doesn't fix things. The law of attraction doesn't, like, bring you what you want. The law of attraction brings you what you are, which is the best quote I've seen in a very long time. What people don't understand about that is that you just need to change just a little bit about yourself in order to shift your now. Yeah, India has always been really interesting to me too. The Taj Mahal, especially. But I was giving a reading to a lady a few weeks ago, and I kept seeing, Gaggy, you need to tell me about this. I kept seeing like colors, like bam, 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 colors. And I was asking her, I'm like, is there, like, there's a celebration that you have that's like colors, and I couldn't remember the name of it, but it's like Holly, right? Holly, Holi. And I was like, this is gonna happen to you, and during whatever this celebration is with the colors. It was just interesting to visualize that in my head. What's your soul's purpose? Am I on the right path? Expression. Okay. Did you give me your birth date, Aqua? If you didn't, just pop your birth date in that chat box. And while I'm starting on this question, I'll just tell you, depression really is a signature, and it is a hallmark for people to understand that they're headed down the wrong direction. And the more we fight that, the more depressed we get. And that's only because we think it should be one way, when in reality, we need to kind of go with the flow and go the direction that we're slightly uncomfortable with. And that doesn't mean put yourself in harm's way or cause yourself harm. It means go a direction in your life that you aren't as comfortable with, that you might fear a little bit, that you, it's like the last thing we want to happen, and that happens. You need to go a direction that you may have been shying away from. Okay. So when I told you I was cold earlier, you laughed, right? I love dogs. Sorry. Okay. She lives in Minnesota. I was saying I was cold earlier. I live in the Caribbean because it's 71 and I've climatized. I'm freezing. But she's in Minnesota, so I understand why she's cold. I know, I'm ridiculous. I get it. Okay. Your birth date is... Okay, Aqua. Okay, so that's your attitude number. Okay, so your life path is a 1, Aqua, and that really means... Whew, hold on. Aqua, they're telling me you're really headed down like a really, really wrong path, and you feel that. You really... And that's why I was like, whoa, it's like blinking lights. Your life path, Aqua, is saying that you should be in leadership, and you are an extremely black and white thinker, but you are effective. And you don't feel that at all. You don't feel that at all, right? I have a story about dog sledding. I'll get back to that. Aqua, okay, so I'll get to what I'm specifically seeing in a second, Aqua. Let me explain your life path a little bit, okay? So your life path is a 1, which means leadership, and you're really effective leadership, but you're not feeling that. And your attitude, which is mean like the way you approach your life, is an 8. And in general, 8 means that you don't pay attention to things you don't value. Like, if you don't find value either in situational or money situations, you kind of like throw it off and like, I'm not going to even bother with that. And combined with your black and white thinking of the life path of number 1, that makes life extremely... it's either this or it's that. It's this or it's that. And that's where you're in this depression, because it's like you think life is this way, but really it's very abstract and but you're looking at it this way. Um, Yeah, I mean, they're just telling me that there's things in your life that have not worked out the way you wanted them to work out, and like that's where you're stuck. You're kind of like, well, that should work out. Why didn't that work out? I don't understand. And you're stuck on the understanding of why it didn't work out when really it's all about the flow of life. They're saying the flow of life. They're saying that you need to understand that you don't need to understand everything in order to move on. Um, yeah, autocorrect. All right, let me put some cards down for you, Aqua. If anybody else has a question out there, hey, it's South Africa Mike. Hey, um, everyone, welcome Michael. He's one of my followers from Instagram. I'll just warn you that sometimes my YouTube kicks me off of here sometimes, Mike. Okay. So if I go away, I'll be back tomorrow. But I'm on here for as long as they let me. How does tarot with playing cards work? You just have to memorize a different code. Like it's easier to use these cards just because they have the major arcana. If you use playing cards, you just have to translate the major arcana to each card. All right, Aqua. Yeah, you're in a time of energy and refocus, but let me see what happened before. You were working. Whatever you were doing before, Aqua, and let me know what I'm saying, if it is resonating or validating, or if I'm off. I need to know just so I can kind of re-evaluate what I'm seeing. So Aqua, you were really like just, I want to say a workaholic. And it was like, and it may not have been work, but whatever you were doing, it was like, I'm doing this, I'm doing it well, I'm doing it all the time, I'm making sure I can get it done. And there was no balance in your life where I love England. I'm so happy. Yay. I went to Oxford. I loved England. I'd move back there in a heartbeat. All right. Yeah, and you were very excited in that because eights are also very much workaholics there, Aqua. Eights are very much where they're focused so much. And now you're in this last card's telling you time of refocus. So rather than trying to recreate what you had before, rather than trying to recreate what you had before, it's time to bring forth alignment. Bring forth alignment within you. Okay. So, Aqua, is there something that you've been like? It's a hobby, and you've always wanted to do it, but you've it's kind of one of these things where you're like, I could never do that. I could never do that. Is that something that is with you, Aqua? That is like something that you like to do, but it was like never really an option because it just feels like play. It just feels like play. That's something you should be focusing on right now. Maybe not necessarily as like a career, but it will definitely bring you up out of this depression because it's going to invoke joy in you. And that's what you need to be doing right now. Because in a depression, all we're really doing is rethinking about what happened in our life and why it is so bad. And we keep kind of regurgitating that same vibration. All they keep saying to me, Aqua, is about value. So does that mean that, okay. Somebody didn't value you, and in turn, you're not valuing yourself now. Does that make sense? So the root of this depression is really the value of you. You need to make sure that you value you. South Africa guy. Dancing. Okay. Totally just got the flash of like Meredith Grey from Grey's Anatomy. Yeah, so it doesn't matter like what you're doing in dancing. Like it doesn't have to be like a class or like anything real formal. What you need to do is get like real happy music and just like crank it and just make sure that you are getting all this energy out. And somewhere in there, you're going to find yourself in there. You're going to find yourself. I mean, I remember when I was like a very young teen, I used to just put on my like ballet shoes and just dance in the living room just because I felt like it. That's what I'm seeing. Like that's what you need to be doing. If you're new here, make sure you ask me questions, anything about yourself, your life, anything you need to know. about the world, celebrities, make sure you hit that like button and also subscribe and hit the bell so you know when I go live. I do go live every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to take questions and also talk about things that are going along in the world and what I've learned from my clients over that week. Because what I found is that when I have sessions with clients during the day, they tend to parallel each other in situations. It's interesting how everyone's in a different situation, but I find myself talking about same topics with different people who don't know each other because you're all going through the same thing at the same time. And that is called vibrational alignment. In a sense, it's synchronicity that you don't even know that you're lining up with. So I talk about that a lot on my Sundays about different topics. There's something beautiful in dancing. Yeah. There's levels of belly dancing. That's amazing. I was a ballet dancer, not a belly dancer, ballet. Um, Okay, and they're wanting me to tell you the story again about my client who manifested things all by herself. And she just told me this week. So this client of mine has been kind of in a deep spot, a hard spot, depression, situationally. And we've been working through the different steps of, the spiritual awakening and how to use the law of attraction, the law of vibration to work with her. And she's really come through and made some really big strides in her life. And she's recently decided she's moving, but she wasn't going to have any furniture. She wasn't going to have much to do. And she was really worried about that. So I taught her how to align with her soul's will, told her what to say, gave her some affirmations. And she messaged me this week and she was like, I manifested a bed. And I said, well, what do you mean you manifested a bed? And she was explaining to me that she, just kind of a lot. And this is what happens. You just have to let yourself flow and you don't say no to anything that comes positively to you. You don't resist anything. And she was worried about where she was going to get a bed. And I said, don't worry about it. It's going to come to you. And she said she was out somewhere and some lady pulled up next to her and was like, hey, do you need a bed? I need to get rid of this queen bed. It's wooden. It's about like 30 years old. I don't even charge you for it. Can you take it? And she said, the only reason I agreed to it is because I just decided I wasn't going to say no to anything. And I'm like, that's exactly how the universe works, is that when you put that vibration out that you're moving forward in a positive direction in your life, the universe will provide everything that you need in order to make that happen. So you don't worry about things like furniture and beds and money and things like that because the universe will make it happen. Let's see. You're trying a big mansion house. Where's the next speech? Okay, I'm going to buy big mansion houses which are next to the beach in 3 different cities. Hey, that's a good plan. I'm with you. I always drive around here and I'm like, if I didn't have kids, I'd be in that condo right there reading a book over the ocean. But with kids, you need the yard and you need, everything. But yeah, that's how you manifest things. You just put it out. And Michael, I want to teach you something here. You don't say, I'm going to, you just have that feeling. Have that feeling that you already own it and you're already going to, what would you feel like when you have that? And put that out in the universe and live like you already have it. Now, let me clarify here. I don't mean walk around like a psycho and be like, oh, look, I have all these 3 houses. No, they don't need to tell people anything. You feel it. You feel it. And then you kind of move on with your life just with that same feeling that, you already have these things. You just haven't walked into them yet. Your spirit guides. See, I know this is cliche, I'm going to already say, but she asked me who her spirit guides are, and I literally heard like a chocolate lab, like a black lab, like barking. And I know her name's I Love Dogs, and I'm going to tell you that, and you're going to be like, well, her name's I Love Dogs. Of course you hear a dog barking. But it's a dark lab. Immediately started barking when you asked about your spirit guides. So you definitely have some animal guides. And remember, you do have animals on the other side too. So if you ever have dreams about animals, though, and your animal totems change over time. So when you have animals, especially dreams, or if you run into certain animals, or you see pictures or television shows about certain animals repeatedly, those are your totems, and they're trying to get your attention. I Love Dogs. You have a woman who's guiding you, and she has very, very long dark hair. It almost reminds me of like ancient, I want to say Incan civilizations. Okay, so she believes she was in a past life with you, and you've decided to. So your spirit guides work. You're learning lessons that your spirit guides also need to learn. So they just choose not to incarnate. However, um, your spirit guides are always like kind of like on an edge higher than we are. I don't want to say we take a back seat when we you don't take a back seat when you learn this, when you go into this incarnation. But those who choose to be those who are choose and selected to be our spirit guides are always a little bit higher than us, because there is a hierarchy on the other side, even though it's not exactly what we know as a hierarchy. But they're learning the same lessons. So she's chosen to. She's your sister. She was your sister. She's saying you're my sister in the past life. What was that card? The card just jumped out of my hand. Um, God, she's very pretty. Very long dark hair, huge eyes. And she's telling me, I'm all you need. You don't need anybody else. Okay. Which story did I tell, Aqua? Okay, so names I sometimes get, but if they're in a different like language, well, surprise, surprise, that I have trouble pronouncing names. I give nicknames to all my followers because I can't really like Gaggy's really one of the only ones I had like actually call Gaggy, because sometimes I have ADD and I'm dyslexic, so I have a hard time like pronounce, which is funny because I'm an English teacher, but whole different story there. But I'll see if I can get a name through. Starts with an A. It sounds like Azul, but is that a name? Azul, Azul. That's what she's showing me. It's Azul. I'm gonna look it up now that she said this. So Azul. Interesting. Brazil. Okay, well that's the name she gave me, Azul, and the meaning of it is color blue. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, well that's the name she gave me, Azul. So if you ever need to call on her, that's what you say, Azul. Azul. Zuela. Definitely from. I keep leaning towards Incan, an Incan time period, and what I'm gathering is that you both. She saw you die. She saw you pass away. I think you were killed in a past life in this. And the only reason she's showing me this because there's something in your current life that you're facing this. Oh, okay. Interesting. So you have this pattern, I love dogs, of being attracted to people who have this this trait about them that is like they want you, but if you get too close, they push you away. And this is what happened in your past life, is that you kind of got in the way and you ended up being killed. And I'm seeing that as a pattern that you're probably still experiencing. And I know from like our current conversation, but you've had it happen many times in your life where you've gotten close with, whether it's romantic partners or friends, but when you get too close, it's like, whoa, and they push you away. And that's a pattern. That's your karmic pattern that you need to release. Okay. Okay, Gaggy, hold on. Yeah, I love dogs. Like our past lives, like they're never like great, but like they only really show us our past lives in that what we need to know. So like the soul tends to forget a lot of the past lives. I don't want to say they're insignificant, but we have lives where we rest, where they're just not as stressful, and we don't learn as much because they're just lives that we're here in order to just experience life and not work off any of the karma. And generally, those lives are important because we're either having just ended a very serious, difficult life, or we're going into one. So we need that in between time. But it's called the resting life, or you can stay on the other side and just be in the resting place. So if you know what, I love dogs. What you need to do with a karmic pattern is basically what I do with my clients, but I'm going to explain with it in 1 second. If you're new here and you've just popped on, make sure you can ask me any questions you need to of the psychic spiritual realm, or anything about the world, anything at all, spiritual awakening, dark night of soul, depression, anything at all. Make sure you can pop your question in the chat box. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I'm live every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today's just kind of an off day. I felt like I needed to talk to people. So here I am. Okay, I'll get to your 1 second guides. Is that she's telling me, she was asking me about her guide, and they took me right into a past life where one of her guides, one of her past sisters, and she is in your soul group. And we could choose to have people in our life who are not in our soul group, and I can explain that then if you'd like. Your karmic pattern is based upon a series of events that took place in some former life. And it could either be here on Earth or somewhere else. It kind of gets a little complicated because we don't have to live here on Earth. But when you have a serious event happening to you in former life, and it has caused major emotional and or physical pain, it creates this imprint. And we know what imprints are. Like, sometimes we have imprint hauntings where it's just like something on repeat. So you go into each life individually and you keep repeating the same cycle. And everybody has this. Everybody has this, where we have situations that keep coming up, or people that are similar that keep coming up in our life that repeat the same feelings or events in our life. So for example, I had a pattern that I have cleared where people who love me in my life always would kind of reject me, hurt me, and then abandon me. And I'd be left going, what the hell just happened? And then, of course, I would go, well, that had to be me. What's wrong with me? That was my pattern. How you clear these things is you have to recognize each chip of it. And what a pattern is like paint on a house. And my husband has an aunt who was very into like remodeling houses, and she always told me about good bones. Like, houses have good bones, where when you strip down all of the stuff, like the appliances and the paint and the decoration, and you pull out everything that's been done to the house, the bones of it are really good, like the structure. That's what we are in our souls. We all have good bones. So what a karmic pattern is kind of like a really ugly shade of paint that we get put over the house, and we have different layers of those. So the deepest layers are the ones that affect us the most, but they're also kind of easy to remove. So when you think about chipping paint off, it comes off in a flake, a paint chip. Every time you recognize any feeling where you're feeling rejected, or you're feeling that you can't get close to somebody, you recognize that and you say to your guides, I see it, I feel it, I release it. And when you do that, you're telling your guides, hey, I recognize this part of paint chip. You can chip it off and not bring it back to me now. And the more you recognize this pattern, the more that you recognize your karma, you will eventually clear the whole thing. But think about what it's like to scrape the paint off a whole house. Like, it takes a while, right? You can't just lift the whole thing up. So sometimes I have clients coming to me who, want me to fix it, want me to like immediately go, how do I fix this? How do I take it away? Well, you can't. It takes a long time for a karmic pattern to come in, and it takes a long time for you to chip it off, especially those ones that have been around a long time. Like, I was in a past life on like one of these. She told me, my friend Melissa, she's in my Psychic Knit Friends network. I jokingly call it, I have Psychic Friends network, because most of the people I'm friends with now are like psychic. So I don't know, I'd get disinterested talking about like, celebrities and stuff like that. So all we talk about is spiritual stuff. But she told me when I had my session with her that I was like this Braveheart warrior person, and I'd never really ended that life. I'd always been fighting with people, and it was absolutely true. When I met her, that I fought with everybody about everything. And she says, because you're always on guard, making sure nothing happens. And it was absolutely true. I have 2 kids who have autism, and I've always wondered, when you have kids who have special needs, you wonder, like, first you go like, well, I feel so bad. Like, did I cause this? And then you wonder, like, what did I do to deserve this kind of like stress? And I realized that I had planned this. Like, I chose them to come in my life. I love them dearly. Don't get me wrong. Um, but I chose to have the stress of having not one, but two kids with autism in my life because it was a way of me to fighting with the world again in another way. So in a way, I was kind of reliving my karmic pattern in so many different ways in my life. It wasn't just one way. Every single way in my life, I was choosing to fight. And that was my karmic pattern. That was one of the first ones I got rid of. And when I cleared that, it just frees you. And when you clear a pattern, because your life changes so completely, that those situations and people don't show up in your life. You don't even have to do anything. They just disappear. So when you clear your pattern, and it is what I help people do, I help clear their karma. When you clear your pattern, your life just, I moved to the Caribbean, so if you're new here, make sure that you hit like and you subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions, like, I'm here for you. Honestly, I answer your questions because I could, I see you, ocean skies. I will get to you in 1 second, okay? I don't like talking about myself a whole lot. So I like answering questions. I use my own life as examples. All right. So let me go back up here. Yeah, I love dogs. Did I put that in here? Let me put they'll put the appointment in here. If you want to make an appointment with me, you just go to this link. And this is not going to Patreon. This is how to make a private appointment with me, a one-on-one. All right. So 7 ocean skies, guidance for your spiritual path. Okay, I can give you guidance. Give me your 7 ocean skies. If you have your date of birth, that will help me a lot along this road, okay? Aqua, I've been stressed about getting furniture. I'm telling you, Aqua, you just put it out in the universe that this is what you need because you want more positive things to happen in your life, and they provide. I'm dead serious. That is all it takes. Okay, so 10. Okay, so your attitude is a 1. So you're very straightforward, and then you're an 8-8. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So the reason you have so many, it's interesting that you're an 8 life path and you have so many 8s in your birth date, because again, who's been with me this whole day? Again, we're talking about value. Your life path is all about value, Ocean. Gaggy, I'll be right back. I'm sorry. I'm seeing coins in my hand, and like I'm doing with my cards, I'm seeing coins go like this in my hand, Ocean. So that could mean many things, but they're telling me right now you're too focused on money. You're too focused